So if you're watching this and you really want to do YouTube, but you're worried about being yourself, you're worried about being original and authentic, I think I'm going to be able to change your mind after this, especially if you're interested in possibly making money on YouTube, even if that's not your primary motivation. So let me share where I'm going with this and some changes, some tweaks that YouTube is making to the partner program. By the way, if we haven't met, my name is Kevin Colby. Now, if you've heard of the YouTube partner program, what happens is you get invited in when you meet certain thresholds. Like, for example, the main threshold, you need 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of watch time in the last 12 months. What the partner program is, when you get to that point, and it is possible. I got there and it was so exciting. Unless they change this in your YouTube studio, they'll give you like almost like a little telethon graph, and they'll tell you where you are in proximity of that 12 months. When you get to that point, they're going to let you know. You're going to get an official email from YouTube and you're going to be invited into the partner program. You don't have to accept it, but I always tell people this, consider this. YouTube lets us use the platform for free. Even with its quirks, even with things we may not like or whatever, we get to use it for free. YouTube is a business owned by Google. They put ads on videos because that's how they make money. Just like you're watching a streaming service with ads in there. That's how they make money. So YouTube reserves the right to put ads on your videos, whether you like it or not. When you become eligible for the partner program, then you can get a cut of that. So my thinking is, if I'm eligible for it and YouTube is going to turn ads on anyway, why not get a cut of that? I don't have to be in it for the money, but I can say, well, fine, if you want to do that, great. And you'll see on your videos what videos make. Now, there are other criteria you have to meet. Your channel has to be in good standing and things like that. So I'll put a link to an article from YouTube if you want to read more about the partner program. As part of this, especially if you're interested in making money, YouTube is tweaking something in there. And I actually think this is huge. So this is what YouTube is saying that they check for when they review your channel. If you're making money on YouTube, your content should be original and authentic. This means that we expect your content to, bullet point number one, be your original content. If you borrow content from someone else, you need to change it significantly to make it your own. So let me jump in here and say, I think some of this is going after what I've heard of clip farms. And they're these places that they just exist to basically take other people's content and repurpose it as theirs. And sometimes they're not adding any commentary to it, they're just repurposing it. And so all of a sudden, they can make money from that, but they're really making money from your content. That's what this is about. If you go back and read, if you borrow content from someone else, you need to change it significantly to make it your own. Now, I think it's interesting that YouTube says borrow. I like to look at it as steal. So if somebody is taking my content and they're repurposing it to make money, I'm not cool with that. At least reach out to me and let me see if I'm okay with that. But they're saying borrow. But they go on to say, be your original creation. They're not saying you can't, react to a video. I don't see this. But what they're saying is make it original. Make it yours. Now, they also go on to say this in the second bullet point, not be duplicative or repetitive. Your content should be made for the enjoyment or education of viewers rather than the sole purpose of getting views. Wanting to get views is not a bad thing at all. When I create a video, when I created this video, I hope it helps you. And the only way it can help you is if you watch it. Now, you may not like it or not, but you may not subscribe to the channel, and that's okay. But you need the views. But there are too many people on YouTube that are just preaching and sharing hacks and all these growth things, to get views and grow your channel fast, as if there's these magic buttons you can just turn on that nobody knows about but them. And then all of a sudden, that's how you grow and stuff like that. Yes, my channel has exploded in a year. And, recently I crossed over 100,000 subscribers, and my mind is still blown. And I thank you if you were one of those people that subscribed. But even if you didn't and you watched the videos, I thank you for that as well. There was a point where if all I'm chasing are views, then I'm not creating for people. I'm creating for this magical algorithm thing, and that's just it's insane and madness. So the way around that is to be you and to be authentic. Now, I don't think this means that you can't do reaction videos and things like that. But I think you have to be very careful about reusing other content. Now, what about AI? I don't know. They don't touch on AI in here. I've got my own thoughts about AI. That's probably a whole different video as well. How original is AI? I don't know. But again, that's not this video. Hey there, want to jump in for just a second and tell you about the sponsor of today's video. It's Riverside. If you're looking for a really simple to use yet packed with tons of features and tools way to record video, then you ought to check out Riverside. I use Riverside for talking head videos, for explainer videos, for tutorial videos, and even recording interviews because the tools they have for that, makes it super simple. Now, something that's really nice about Riverside, there's nothing to download to your computer. So that means it doesn't matter whether you're on a Mac or a PC. Personally, I'm a Mac guy, so that's kind of the way I lean. It doesn't matter because it works in your browser. It works on your phone. It works on a laptop. It works anywhere you need Riverside to work. Now, let's say you want to edit your video inside of Riverside. You can do that as well. A couple of different ways you can edit. There's the timeline editing. Plus, there's also text-based editing, which means you find the words you don't like, you cut those out, and it cuts that out on the video. Now, the best way to use Riverside is actually use Riverside for your project. So if you use the link down in the description and my code Kevin Colby, you can save 15% off any paid plan. I don't care who you are, 15% saves you some money. So make sure you use the link down below. Try Riverside today, and I appreciate them sponsoring this video. So now what could happen if you violate this? Well, I think several different things. One, they could just take that video and mark it ineligible for monetization. So when you upload a video, if you're eligible for monetization, that's part of the uploading process. I've done a video on that. I'll put a link to that down below. It walks you through every step that you need when you're uploading a video. So they could just say, hey, it's ineligible. Or they could delete the video. They could just say, hey, look, you have violated this. You continue to violate this. So we're going to delete the video. Or they could remove you from the partner program. Now, as shocking as that sounds, again, it's an invite. It's not you didn't automatically like, well, dadgummit, they can't take me out of there. It's an invite to be in a program so we can make money with YouTube and on YouTube. So it's just one of those things they could do. That's why it's important to know the rules. So how do you, as they say, be original and authentic? Well, one way is that. Just be you. Be the best you can. Be the you that God made with warts and imperfections and all the other stuff that just make us real as well. I really believe it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you create, whether you do gardening or cooking or artwork or you're hiking and you like to do vlogs while you're hiking or whatever it might be. Being you is what I think attracts people. Now, there are people out there that do faceless videos. Sometimes they do it, and maybe this is you because you don't want to be on camera. I think it's just as hard to do a faceless video because you got to think about, the visuals, you got to think about the voiceover as well. But it's like just showing up, imperfect and all. Maybe you don't over edit it as well. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't edit my videos as much as I used to, which is kind of hard for me to let go because of my background in television. Everything was, I mean, thought out to the nth degree and edited and things like that. We even worked within time frames, of like maybe 10 seconds or 15 seconds or 30 seconds, sometimes 60 seconds we couldn't go without. So I've had to get used to what I call not junking it up with graphics just to do that. Being you, putting your spin on things. What is your opinion of something? Like if I'm reviewing my camera, let's just say I'm reviewing the DJI Pocket 3, one of my favorite gear purchases like ever. And if I'm talking about it, rather than just repurposing a lot of other people's videos out there where they're talking about it, I want to tell you what I think about it. In fact, I even did I did a video, it was like a first time reaction, or I forgot what I called it, to it. And those are my actual reactions to the gimbal like tracking me. Never had a camera do that. And it was amazing. But that was real, and it was authentic, and it was my spin on it. And even talking about the things I like and don't like. That is one of the things that I think realness trumps AI. AI will spit back information. This isn't a video about AI. Maybe I should do one. I've had people ask me, what I think about it, my take on it. Let me know in the comments if that's something that you'd like me to talk about. But, AI typically spits things back. And I think in terms of being you and original, the more you can just, share your opinions and your thoughts, even if they're not popular. Sometimes just being real in your thoughts is the way to go. Share stories and experience. I'm never ever going to go to AI and say, "Hey, give me a story for this." I'm going to share examples. Here's a story. Recently, I was on a live stream with my good friend Brian G. Johnson. Somehow, in the middle of the live stream, I lose his audio. And he's talking, and all of a sudden, I see his lips moving. But to quote, I think it's a Pink Floyd song, "Your lips are moving, but I can't hear what you're saying." I think that's a Pink Floyd song. And I'm like, "Dude, I can't hear you." And people are in the comments go, "I can hear Brian. I can hear you." And all of a sudden, I realize, oh crap, something has happened on my computer speakers. And I literally had to drop out of the live stream, restart, not restart the computer, but go back into it. And he let me in, and was it embarrassing? Yeah, for a moment. I hated it more for him, but you know what? The world kept spinning, and in the scheme of things, it wasn't that big of a deal. But it was a moment that happened. So sometimes it's like rolling with things that happen, but again, being original. So for example, if you are creating something, maybe it's going back to gardening or cooking or artwork or even vlogging or something like that, it's your work. It's your creation. It's your take. It's your experience. Since I primarily create for people over 40, because I am way over 40, we have like life experience that even if you and I have done the same thing in life, chances are we're going to come at it from completely different perspectives. Education is fantastic for this. You don't need to know everything about everything. Just know more than the person who needs the help. Now, I will say this. I was talking to my wife that if I want to invest in the stock market, I would rather learn that from somebody who has done it, even if they've, not always been successful at it, than somebody that just read a book on it and now they're going to teach it. That's not what I'm talking about. But you have life experiences that you can bring to the table that makes it original content. Another way to be original is when it comes to B-roll. So B-roll is like video that's laid over the video. So like right now, if I had a shot of, me at my one stand, I'll say that so I can actually add a shot of that. That's B-roll as well. That's mine. I didn't create that with AI. I didn't go to a stock footage place to get it. I've even tried to stop doing that much, because if it's going to be, if I'm talking about something, I'd rather just show that from being a real experience. That's another way to be you. Believe it or not, YouTube wants you to be you. Maybe that's part of the reason they call it YouTube.